Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and like. Our series begins with our very mischievous hero, a funny troublemaker named John. He's a high school student, but honestly, he's a full-on little devil, driving all his friends crazy. Even the principal, Julia, can't stand him. He always makes her frown, and he says she's the person he fears more than even his own aunt. By coincidence, John is filming himself with his friend Han, when suddenly, the principal comes out of the bathroom and accidentally appears on camera while, excuse my language, pulling her skirt. Her appearance looks extremely ridiculous, so she starts chasing John, desperately wanting him to delete the video. Of course, he runs away from her and jumps on his scooter. Just before he takes off, he finds our heroine Zizi, messing with him and snatching the scooter key so he can't leave. But the moment she hears the principal screaming in panic, the key slips from her hand. The little devil John seizes the opportunity, grabs the key, and shoots off like a rocket. Unfortunately, life isn't always that perfect. He crashes straight into the school principal, the scooter falls, hits the man, and seriously injures his head. Both of them are rushed to the hospital. At the hospital, a nurse asks her colleague to bring the report of the cancer patient in bed number 3, but one of the medical staff mistakenly puts John in bed number 3 instead. At that moment, John is shocked when the principal walks in on him, giving him a huge surprise and saying, "Do you know who you hit, smart guy?" The principal. John panics, exposes himself immediately, and says, "Oh no, I'm done for, I'm expelled." He starts begging her, swearing and pleading, telling her not to fire him because he's just a poor kid. By coincidence, his sister Zizi works as a doctor in the same hospital. When she hears the news that her brother has cancer, she doesn't panic like everyone else. Instead, she investigates until she discovers that his medical report was accidentally swapped with another patient's. When John goes home, she finds him eating like a beast, devouring everything in sight. The food doesn't run out, and the animal never gets full. That's when she tells him, "Sir, respectfully, you do not have cancer." But John fully believes the diagnosis and keeps acting the part. Zizi has his phone and keeps scrolling through the endless messages and calls he's receiving every second, all wishing him a safe return to school. She gives him the phone, but he's shocked to find it not working, because he tried the password too many times, and the phone got locked, needing a full reset. Then the principal suddenly shows up, completely broken from crying, telling him sweetly that they've decided not to expel him after all, and will give him another chance, especially since he's sick. She even tells him he can take leave whenever he feels tired. John couldn't be happier. He clings to the story, telling everyone he meets, "Yes, I have cancer, just a little." Ironically, his health is perfect, and he never stops eating. He even eats his friend's food. Amid all this suspense, Zizi keeps watching him closely, confused about how a cancer patient could eat with such an open appetite. During break time, she talks to her only friend Shin, saying she doubts John is really sick. Soon, a teacher enters and announces a new competition. John asks to join, but the teacher tells him he's already registered. From that day on, Zizi starts bothering him non-stop, removing all food from in front of him under the excuse that she's worried about his health. This is forbidden. That's unhealthy. This has too much fat. During one of their arguments, Shin arrives as usual to eat lunch with Zizi. When John sees him, he greets him with some very unfriendly comments before leaving to buy chips. Zizi follows John everywhere like a shadow. The next day at school, John starts shouting loudly, telling Zizi to slap him because he's been having terrible nightmares. She happily agrees and slaps him so hard he collapses to the ground. When the teacher asks why she did that, she explains that he asked for it. She just wanted to help him relax. From that day on, all the students start fearing Zizi. One day after school, Zizi notices that John is missing, with only his bag left behind, sitting sadly in its place. She takes it and goes to return it to his house. When John sees her, he's surprised and asks sarcastically why she's there, whether she's spying on him. She angrily tells him she only came to return his bag and that she's worried about him and that he should thank her. John gets angry, leaves the house, and suddenly a car nearly hits him, but luckily stops at the last moment. He returns home and sarcastically asks her if she's satisfied now. After taking a shower, curiosity gets the better of him and he opens his bag, only to be shocked to find that Zizi wrote detailed notes about his illness, including food types, medication schedules, and drinks. He's stunned by how knowledgeable she is, so much so that even a real doctor might have gotten confused. Stranger still, we see Zizi taking some medicine herself, though we don't yet know why. The next morning, John rushes happily to school and tries to start a conversation with her, but she can't stand him and walks away, still upset about what happened the day before. Oddly enough, after once being annoyed by her, he now feels hurt that she's mad at him. He starts watching her from afar as she prepares for a running competition. Just before the race begins, Zizi suddenly feels severe pain in her leg and discovers a deep wound. John sees this from a distance, realizes she's injured, and takes her place in the race, running like a horse. But after the competition ends, he's shocked to find that she's gone. because Shin took her and went with her to the doctor. The news that made both her and her mother extremely happy was that she was finally safe from cancer. There was a 90% chance that the disease would never come back, and only a very small possibility that it might return. Of course, we were all shocked with you, because it turns out she also had cancer. That's why she was always caring for John and worrying about him. When she returns home, her mother and father are overjoyed by the good news they've been waiting for so long. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Who is it? It's Mr. John. Her father asks him who he is and what he wants. John, of course, brought some papers. Basically anything just to have an excuse. The father doesn't want to let him in, but the mother insists, showing her good manners and kindness. While they're eating, they keep asking John, "Are you really sick with cancer, my son?" He hesitates and stumbles over his words before finally saying yes. But they don't stop there. They ask him about his symptoms too. John gets nervous and doesn't know what to say until her father suddenly gets angry because the meat isn't cooked well. John takes a deep breath and silently thanks God for anything that distracted them. Later, he and Zizi chat for a bit, and she asks him where his parents are. He tells her they died in a train accident. He was supposed to be with them that day, but he fell asleep from exhaustion during the trip. When he woke up, the accident had already happened. He fainted, then woke up again in the hospital to discover he was the only survivor among many victims. He tells her that he dreams about that day every night, and that the nightmare never leaves him. Then he slips and tells her, "I dream about you a lot." She asks him, confused, "How do you mean? Am I a nightmare or what?" He goes quiet, not knowing what to say. She doesn't push him further, and instead tells him she has a surprise planned for him tomorrow. The next day, she takes him to visit a cancer hospital. The two of them joke and laugh so much that even her doctor and Shin are surprised, because she never acts like that with anyone else. And the romance doesn't stop there. Ever since yesterday, they've grown incredibly close, spending the whole day together at school and talking for hours at night. One time, she asks him which college he wants to go to. He replies casually that it doesn't matter, that he doesn't really care about education. She firmly tells him no, education is a goal, and he needs ambition. He scoffs, asking what ambition even means. Eventually, he's convinced by her words and immediately goes online to search, only to discover that he hasn't studied any of his subjects at all. The next day at school, he finds that Zizi has prepared a full study schedule for him and even brought Professor Shen to help him review. One explains, the other revises. The perfect setup. But John isn't happy and complains, asking why she brought this kid to study with him, clearly referring to Shin. Though of course, he can't say it outright. She sticks to him every day, forcing him to study non-stop. Still, thanks to her kind heart, they also go out together and visit the aquarium. Since John is a troublemaker, instead of taking pictures of the place, he takes photos of her. She gets so nervous she doesn't know where to look among the coral plants, while he pretends to fall asleep and rests his head on her legs. After they return home, they joke and laugh endlessly. Suddenly, Shin appears, standing there awkwardly. When she asks him what he's doing there, he tells her he just came to check on her. As he leaves, he stops John and asks him whether he loves her or not. John doesn't answer and walks away. Shin gets angry and shouts that he loves her deeply, completely and truly. Finally, graduation day arrives. All the students are celebrating, except John, who notices that Zizi isn't there. He runs to her and confesses his love, but she answers in a strange way, neither yes nor no, leaving him wondering whether she loves him or not. A few days later, college acceptance results are announced, and John learns that he's been accepted into the Faculty of Tourism. The next day, his close friend visits him and asks again whether he really loves Zizi. Strangely, John stays silent, lost in his feelings, unsure whether what he feels is love or just admiration. At the start of a new day, the four of them gather together and decide to spend a nice day out. John hands them papers with a fun little test they're supposed to do, but something is odd. Sadness appears in Shin's eyes. Is it because he feels Zizi loves John now, or is it something else? Later, he takes her to her doctor, who reassures them that her condition is currently stable, but she must strictly follow her treatment, watch her diet, and, most importantly, take her medication on time. In the end, Zizi leaves Shen and walks away. He watches her with sad eyes, as if he wants to say, "Stay with me, don't leave me alone." See you in the next part.